Why hello you amazing beautiful people, and welcome back to another solo leveling cut content reaction video. How are all of you doing? By the time this video comes out, my reaction to episode 9 will either be out or be coming out on the main channel, G.O.T Games, so make sure you guys are subscribed to both channels. Also, another random bit of information, my younger brother has a YouTube channel and a Twitch channel, and tonight on Twitch after my stream, he is going to be starting solo leveling. He asked his community what anime they would like to see him start. He just finished Attack on Titan, and all of his community said solo leveling, which was really surprising. Well, not surprising. It's freaking awesome. But I was surprised they chose that after Attack on Titan. I do think he is gonna love it. I didn't have a vote. I wasn't part of it. It was all him and his community. So yeah, make sure you go support my brother. His YouTube and Twitch handle is witch_GB. That's witch spelled like the Halloween witch. And I'll leave a link in the as the pinned comment. So go support him tonight on his Twitch and show him some love so he knows like what he's in for, you know. Go and show him some love. But other than that, I'm gonna stop talking. Please like this video. Please subscribe for more. And also go support AniNews, because these videos are absolutely amazing, and AniNews is close to 700,000 subscribers, so go support AniNews, and let's jump into my first time ever reaction to Solo Leveling Season 2, Episode 8 Cut Content.
We are on a one-stop train to Jeju Island, and
Hell
there is
yeah.
absolutely nothing stopping it.
Nope, let's go!
Along with it comes the biggest change solo leveling will make, since the plan Japan has with South Korea differs massively depending on whether you're reading the novel, manhwa, or anime. I'm talking about an insane shift in narrative that borders on geopolitical warfare. That, however, is only half of the episode, since the other half covers Sung's Tower Climb to the Demon King.
Interesting.
It's a more extensive challenge that focuses on Sung's shadows, his ever-increasing power, and the system. Both are equally important, so I'm actually going to split them up into 2 videos.
2 videos
this
again!
This will focus only on the Tower Dungeon, while the next will cover all the Jeju stuff. It's a video I promise you don't want to miss out on. Episode 20, Looking Up Was Tiring Me Out, covering chapters 82 to 87 from the manhwa and chapters 101 to 107 from the web novel. To start from Sung's encounter with Esil, her initial squad was 3 demon knights and her a demon noble. Based on Sung's own assumption of how demon power scaling worked, the knights were about the same level of an A rank, while Esil and the other demon nobles were easily in the S ranks. He could...
She's an S rank? What? Is Jin Woo just that strong now that she was an S rank? What the fuck?
Tell by the way that she fought against him. Her technique of rapidly targeting all his vital points clearly indicated she was very well trained.
Oh my word.
If not for Sung being her opponent, Sung knew she could easily handle 3 to 4 A ranks at once.
What the fuck?
It was just unlucky that she had to be facing him.
She's that strong? The anime made it seem like she was fucking nothing. Which just makes me realize, oh my god, Jin Woo is on another level these days.
It was when she surrendered
after
this that Sung would feel extremely put off by such absurd behavior. It's not like intelligent monsters were rare, but to see her prostrate herself was a level above rare. There was something about Esil that just seemed strange to him. Aside from the bears expressing their disdain towards her though, Sung figured this would be a good opportunity to initiate conversation. It was before those questions we saw in the anime though that Esil would first give her a reason for fighting against him. You see, as a guardian of this floor and all its inhabitants, she couldn't let some random person keep hunting her fellow demons indiscriminately. If you looked at it from the perspective of her, Sung was literally barging into her home and massacring all her people.
Yeah.
He had essentially flipped roles with the monsters from his own world.
True.
Since he was the equivalent of a magic beast to them, Sung bore no grudge against Esil for fighting against him. He fully understood where it was she was coming from.
Man, it does make sense. It does make sense. He just didn't care. I understand. I just don't care.
It was nothing more than a source of information, so as soon as her value dropped below what Sung was expecting, Sung fully planned on killing her. He was extremely curious to see how much XP he would get.
Such
this
a dick,
differs
man.
from how it was in the manhwa, since Esil's likeness to a human made him uncomfortable with killing her. In the novel, Sung was all business though, so Esil's survival depended solely on whether she could provide something more valuable than XP and whatever loot she would drop.
Man, Sung
it was value
really
which Sung
up,
believed could only be provided via the entry permit. So Sung would be the one to ask if she had it, leading to a blank stare that made it seem like she didn't. Sung would then waste no time summoning his dagger, since to him negotiations were now over. He would briefly ponder the peculiarity of an intelligent monster using their intelligence to beg for their life, then immediately switch thoughts to the unknown amount of XP he was about to get. I mean, she was the first demon noble he'd come across after all. So,
this guy's got issues, man.
Killing Esil might even be what grants him the entry permit.
Sung Jin Woo is the equivalent of, like, you know those, was it like American frontiers? Like, the American people who, like, went across the plains and just, like, ate every fucking animal they could find. Every animal they could find. They just slaughtered and ate every animal. What does that taste like? What does this taste like? Just killed fucking everything and, like, whenever they did that, you know, that, like the nearly the extinction of the buffalo, like that famous story? That's Jin Woo. But, like, the XP equivalent. Motherfucker just goes into these dungeons like, what, how much XP I can get? Kill, kill, kill. People are like, no, please, I have a family. It's like, oh, fucking hell, 20 XP, nice.
It was right as he was about to attack, though, that's when Esil would say that she'd give it to him. Her explanation of where it was validated why he wasn't able to find it, so believing what she was saying was easy. Whether he could trust her was a different story, but so long as she followed her end of the deal, Sung would proceed to keep his. It was a belief stemming from a pledge he made back when he first received the power of the system. Give and take. Even if Esil was a monster, Sung would abide by that pledge regardless. He did still consider it a waste to give up the XP of her and her clan, but the trade-off was the massive amount of time he'd save.
He's such a nut job, this guy, man.
He knew he'd spent way too much time on the 80th floor already.
Only Sung Jin Woo would see a bunch of people just chilling and be like, it's such a waste, man. I could kill them all.
Plus, even if Esil did try to betray him, it's not like Sung would be upset about it. If anything, he'd probably be happy since he'd get both the XP and the permit.
You know, I've just realized. His Tusk is also an S rank, right? And so is she, that like we now know. I didn't think she was. But that move where she tried to attack and Tusk like just defending without even looking. You know, like the easiest defense in the world. Also makes you realize how tough Tusk is. Because they're both S ranks, and yet he is worlds above her, and Jin Woo is worlds above Tusk. Maybe. We don't really know the comparison. Which really makes you realize just how far everyone has grown in such a short time, man.
Sung's first question was to compare the current situation with the monsters of regular dungeons, revealing the different nature between them. With magic beasts aiming to kill humans and these monsters wanting to protect the dungeon, that further reinforced the idea that he was the magic beast to them. It was a momentary thought of role reversal that Sung didn't really dwell on. Sung's next
doesn't really think about much,
he's like, system's intervention, but the way it happened in the novel wasn't quite the same as how it happened here. I could just be looking into it too much, but I feel this difference is at least worth mentioning. So, where in the anime and manhwa the system directly blocks Esil from speaking, in the novel it's actually the opposite. Esil continues speaking like nothing is wrong, while all Sung can hear is the monotone voice telling him his conversation was being blocked. It was a message that would last until Esil's explanation was over. So, while the outcome was the same with regards to Sung not getting the information he wanted, the system's way of deafening him implies a level of control over him we may not have expected. Now, the system blocking...
I have mentioned this before, because I do wonder about Jin Woo a lot. And this always pops into my head and it terrifies the fuck out of me. And that is it going to be possible for the system to just remove all the benefits they've given Jin Woo? You know, we've seen him literally level up. Could the system just go and just send him back to how he was? Because it's the system that's given him all of this. And that thought scares the shit out of me.
Esil was actually a mistake on its part, because had it not interfered with Sung at all, then Sung felt he wouldn't have suspected anything. He would have assumed Esil's explanation to be nothing more than a system-made backstory, since with every aspect of these instance dungeons always being so game-like, it wasn't far-fetched to consider Esil's story another one of those elements. To him, it would have just been a simple bit of backstory for an NPC. It was the moment the system intervened, though, that's when Sung knew for certain she had answers. Whatever.
One thing as well about Jin Woo is he, like has been mentioned many times by AniNews, he doesn't dwell on anything, which just seems stupid. You know, all this stuff is going on, there's so many complications to it, and Jin Woo is just this mindless, single-minded fucking dude who's just like, XP, XP. I mean, the anime is called Solo Leveling, so it fits. But I find it hard to believe that someone with Jin Woo's level of intelligence would just look at all of these factors and just fucking negate them, you know? It doesn't make any sense. Like Jin Woo analyzing the situation with the system and the conversation and not having any kind of worry about it or any kind of second thought. So there's either two things. Either he actually doesn't, which is insane, because any normal human would be like, this is a bit weird, and have some thoughts about it and like maybe come up with a plan or think about it. Or he is doing that, but the anime and the manhwa and everything don't show you. But behind the scenes, he is thinking about it and he is analyzing it, and he does have some sort of plan in place. Like, he's investigating it more than we are being shown he is, which I hope it is that, because if the idea is that Jin Woo is just having all these like interactions with all these monsters and the system is like doing all this weird shit and it all seems odd and he's just like just fucking whatever, doesn't care, you know? Imagine if in your life you just walk down the street and people and you like had conversations with people and they're like sparks in their eyes and like, cannot talk to you, and just like walked off. You wouldn't then be like, and just carry on walking. So I hope it isn't that.
Whatever enemy she was referring to clearly held a relation to whatever was going on with him. The system had acted way too sensitively for that not to be the case. Either way, with the system exhibiting influence over Earth, these monsters, and even him, it was clear it had some sort of transcendental powers. This
is the part where AniNews goes, Jin Woo thought about this for about 3 seconds and then thought, and never thought about it again.
Something Sung knew he needed to be wary of.
Okay,
Esil passing out couldn't be fixed by any of Sung's potions, so the wait for her had actually led to numerous battles. As it turns out, demons without intelligence often considered demons with intelligence as enemies. So with Esil out in the open as easy prey, many demons had tried to attack her. There was a whole pile of them right next to her when she woke up. Now, this next part is actually kind of a side thing, but it was common throughout all 3 mediums that Sung wouldn't know what personal space was. There would be times where he'd put his hands on her, and every time Sung would sense an increased heart rate. Because it was for nothing more than standing her up or guiding her forward, Sung would assume it was because she was scared. The manhwa and anime show it for what it really is. It's when we get to the Radaru castle that Esil would have committed the equivalent of the Trojan horse for the demon realm.
I don't blame her.
After her dad's
Jin Woo is the guy.
To it that he would quickly piece together this was the person who killed Vulcan and Metis. As trusted allies he was rather fond of, he was reminded of how sad he was when the news of their defeat first got to him. It's from this that Esil's dad knew he shouldn't fight, since to do so would require being ready to sacrifice everyone. Keep in mind, that wasn't due to the fact these demon nobles were weak. I mean, each was the equivalent of an S rank. It's just that Sung was way stronger now.
This dude is on another level!
The Radaru clan being the weakest out of all of them, it was much easier to just believe Sung's words and avoid a fight altogether. That's when the dad would ask what else Sung wanted, fully expecting to hear something unreasonable. Reason being that after years of dealing with the demands of those who were stronger, not once were they ever fair. They were always made to insult both him and his people. So, to know this situation was likely the same, Esil's dad could only wait in frustration. It was when Sung asked for Esil herself that all the knights would gasp in astonishment. To see such peculiar reactions from those he considered monsters, well, that served to validate Esil's story from before. He started to think perhaps there was some truth to what she said after all. It was once the whole guide thing was cleared up that's when Esil's dad would contemplate what all this really meant. Like, to him, Sung was essentially a calamity, and this calamity had just walked straight through their front door. He would think back to the day he first arrived here and remember how he knew the order they'd constantly been hearing was preparing them for something. They didn't know what it was, but just like how one would eat when they're hungry or sleep when they're tired, it was an impulse they felt the need to carry out instinctively.
So far, what it seems like and what we've been told in the anime is it feels like this is how I'm like picturing it in my mind. You got Earth and you got the demon world. And they're 2 different places. I don't know if all of the monsters in the dungeons are from the demon world. Maybe they're from different worlds. But let's just say they all are from the demon world. The only reason I'm saying that is because some are intelligent, some are not intelligent. But then again, you could say the same with human life, you know, on this planet. Humans in general. I meant animals, but it's funnier the first way. So they could all be from there. So let's say, hypothetically, they all are. Every creature in a dungeon is from the demon world. So you got Earth, and a demon world, and you got some sort of like fucking deity being that for some reason is taking demons and just chucking them on Earth. That's what it kind of feels like. But this isn't Earth or the demon world. This is inside a dungeon. So then it kind of adds that third element, Earth, demon world, whatever, and then dungeons in the middle, and what they are, and why this deity would be doing that, and what this big war is or something that's coming, right? Like, what is going on?
So, when the news of an invasion reached him all the way up here, immediately he knew this was what they needed to protect their land from. A subjugation force would eventually be sent out to deal with it, only to reveal these invading soldiers weren't as powerful as he thought. There were groups of soldiers harder than the others, but those just required a bit of preparation. Sure, victory wasn't guaranteed against any of them, but none of them seemed outright impossible. That is, until they saw Sung. Still, negotiations with the human did hurt his pride, but that was far better than the alternative.
Yeah, dying.
And yes, the entry permit was something Esil's dad was supposed to protect, but the cost of doing so was just too high. He knew Sung was far too powerful to even consider fighting. It was even with all his shadows being clearly visible to him that Esil's dad could tell this wasn't even all Sung was capable of. Though he didn't know why, Sung was clearly hiding his true power. So, as unbelievable as it was for Sung to request only Esil and the permit, if it meant saving everyone, this really was no price at all.
Did he request Esil in the anime? Or did Esil say she was going with him? I can't remember.
Plus, with this protecting the sanctity of the floor he was responsible for, technically he wasn't going against the order of the unknown voice either.
True.
The only risk he carried was with Esil. So, it was once Sung confirmed she'd be fine that the permit would be handed over and everyone happy. For Sung, this was a bit more of a surprise, since this would be the first time he'd acquired a key item through dialogue. The stamp at the bottom indicated it was the property of the Radaru clan, and that hinted the other permits were likely in possession of all the other clans. This made the climbing process a lot more streamlined, since rather than farm monsters aimlessly and endlessly, now Sung knew exactly where to go. It was much better than waiting forever for a loot item to drop randomly and without notice. It's then that Sung would want to leave immediately, but Esil's dad would insist he stay for a feast. Sung really wanted to keep going, but when he saw Esil's face and how it seemed like she wanted to stay, he decided to oblige since it was the courteous thing to do.
Oh, okay, they left this out.
He had also grown pretty sick of the stale bread and jerky the shop provided him.
I can see why they left this out. It doesn't feel majorly important, you know? Like, it just feels like a bit of extra content that, like, a book would have, you know? If you were, like... God, my throat. Like, if you were reading any book, they would leave this sort of thing out in the, like, adaptation, really.
It was after all that Sung would make his way to the teleportation elevator, where Esil accompanying him would reveal the existence of a party system. Not only did this allow members to travel to the next floor with them, but it also shared his XP at a rate dependent on their level of contribution. Naturally, this made Sung...
Wait, he leveled up Esil? Esil, do you know what? Esil's already S rank, but with his fight against that fucking monster on floor 100, and him beating that monster, does that mean Esil, like, throwing him the weapon would have got her, like, a big level boost as well?
More than a little bit worried, since to lose out on XP was quite literally the worst thing imaginable for him. That being the case, he made it crystal clear that under no circumstance should Esil ever intervene.
Okay.
Esil, of course, took this as Sung looking out for her, but really it was him ensuring all the XP was his.
Yep.
Now, we
like
know
a true
Esil's
gamer.
bag was intended to
I got
be
this, you
for
stay back.
negotiation, but Sung felt one exception was enough. Even though the other clans were civilized like hers, Sung had no intention of sparing any of them. So there would be a fairly descriptive scene of Sung going on a massacre, and when you consider how these demons were only protecting the place they called home, it's kinda messed up that Sung wouldn't even give them a chance to give up. Like, before they had even known they were being attacked, Sung had already used Tusk to set their castle aflame. Their walls were literally melting, while any soldiers who ran outside were cut down instantly. So,
keep in mind, a lot of the ones he's fighting are like S rank levels. It really does just show you how fucking insanely strong Jin Woo is. And think about this: he's defeated all of them. He went up 20 levels fighting S rank opponents. When Jin Woo leaves this tower, he is going to be insanely strong. Like, the Jin Woo now in the anime must be fucking mind-blowingly strong. And he has a force behind him that's crazy strong. Also, is Esil coming with him out of the tower? Like, how does that work? Because I don't really want to say goodbye to her yet. We've barely seen her.
For Esil, this would be an absolute nightmare.
I also kind of agree. This is mega fucked up. Because, like, Sung Jin Woo has literally just discovered that these demons are, like, normal. Just equivalent of humans, just protecting their land. And bro just goes in and massacres all of them.
She couldn't help but think now of how lucky she was. For Sung, this was simply the extent of the relation between humans and demons, because if the positions were flipped, they would do the same. It was the simple truth that the strong always devoured the weak.
Yeah.
So, if Sung knew that they wouldn't spare him, then why was it that he should bother to do the same? This was the logic Sung decided to proceed with. This brings us now to a funny scene with Iron, since after clearing out another camp of demons, he had rushed over to Sung, eagerly awaiting his praise.
Ha!
Sung would then ask if he was sure he was finished, to which Iron would nod confidently. The thing is, there was a demon right next to him stealthed with invisibility. Sung could tell it was waiting to mount a sneak attack, but decided not to do anything to see if Iron would notice. Since he didn't, Sung would take care of it himself, proceed to question Iron like a child, then Iron would lower his head out of embarrassment. Igris, on the other hand, would return looking a little different because his level was maxed, indicating he was ready for an advancement.
Oh.
He would then kneel in front of Sung, holding a sense of nervous determination, all while Sung would look at him proudly. As the first in his army to achieve such a feat, Sung believed it was well-deserved since Igris was always the one who fought the hardest. Sung would then establish the command enabling this advancement, speak the word triggering its commencement, then witness Igris evolve like he was a Pokemon.
Oh, they should have left this in! That's so cool!
More epic in the manhwa. A scene visually similar to when Sung first became the Shadow Monarch.
Yeah!
What emerged was a shadow with far more aura than ever before, so to see what it was his soldiers could become, Sung was now eager to do this with the rest of them. Tank would stroll in seeking his advancement next, revealing something rather peculiar about it. The levels required for it differed depending on the rank the shadow was. Since Tank has definitely killed less demons than Igris, for both to rank up together indicated Tank's level requirement was lower. It made sense considering that that was just another standard video game element.
Yeah.
Sung would then wonder if he could ascend himself, but that was an idea he knew was probably just wishful thinking. In any case, this evolution brought with it some pretty cool new designs for both Igris and Tank.
Fuck me, actually. That is an interesting point. You know we have, like, the fucking E to S rank system, right? Imagine if you can reach a cap in that ranking system. Imagine if that's just level 1 and there's a level 2. Imagine if you can reach the cap that no human has ever been able to do before, and then you advance into the next fucking area. Meaning that the weakest being in the next area would defeat every being on Earth. That is crazy thinking.
For Iron, who had to watch all this go on, he was pretty sad since he was feeling left out. All he wanted was praise, but Igris and Tank stole all of it. Now, floor 90 and above was the level of superior nobles, so if demon nobles were at minimum the S rank, then superior nobles would be well above that.
Damn,
Esil was a bit worried Sung might fail, since if he did end up losing, the wrath of the upper clans would come barreling down on hers. It's for that reason she wanted to try negotiations first. She was trying to plan ahead just in case. The 90s did in fact prove to be a challenge, since where before his mana levels barely took a hit, now they fluctuated greatly. It meant his soldiers were getting destroyed and regenerated a lot now. Sung himself looked to be putting in work as well, since a hazy gas could be seen emitting from him. It was his sweat immediately evaporating from the heat, a telltale sign that each battle was life or death now. By the 97th floor, Esil didn't have energy to even be shocked anymore, so instead she would ask if every human was as strong as he was. It was a question to which Sung would answer only one or two, those being the chairman and Cha. The other
I'm gonna be real. I don't know much about the chairman and Cha, but at this point, I feel like Sung Jin Woo could beat them both with his eyes closed, his legs decapitated. Like, Sung Jin Woo could be, like, have we seen this dude? This guy's a fucking monster. He's been fighting S rank level opponents since level 80. He's now fighting people who's stronger than S rank. Bro is a fucking nightmare in a shredded body.
Others didn't seem very strong at all anymore. especially Choi since Cha was quite a few.
Wait, what? Let's go rewind. What's
Answer only one or two. Those being the chairman and Cha. The others didn't seem very strong at all anymore, especially Choi since Cha was quite a few tiers above him. So, if he was to judge based on their auras alone, there was a massive difference in strength amongst the S ranks. The reason I say massive is because, by Sung's observations, the difference between them was probably greater than the difference between the lower ranks. Like, say there did exist some form of double S rank, the difference between that and the regular S rank could be more than the gap between an A rank and the E rank. It was hard to say for sure since S rank mana levels couldn't be measured like that. When it came to his comparison with Chairman Go, they were on the same level the last time Sung saw him, but now that he was level 90, Sung was sure things were different. He was genuinely excited to go back home and compare, thrilled by the thought he might be able to consider them even weaker now. Now,
Jin
the
Woo
real
is
reason
such
Sung
a
didn't need
such a
Esil anymore
nutcase.
was because his perception stat had gotten to the level where he could find the permit without her. With the aura of the superior nobles being so strong,
God damn,
Sung
that
could
wyvern's
easily
so
sense
cool.
exactly where they were located.
Every time I see this dude, he literally looks like the front cover of a rock album from the 80s or 90s, man. It's crazy. He looks like a character that should be in that animated movie Heavy Metal or whatever it was. Also, I really hope he got the wyvern. Like, come on, man. Don't get me wrong, it's cool him riding into battle on the back of a bear, but you know what's cooler than a bear? A fucking wyvern! It'd be so awesome if he, like, flying around on a dragon.
It made it so a guide was no longer necessary. Plus, he didn't really want to walk around with extra baggage. Esil would then question her own usefulness, leading Sung to walk up to her and tell her she worked hard. Her reaction was another emotion Sung never expected from a monster. But it was with each and every new one he got to see that it validated more and more the story she told before. He still wasn't sure whether this whole instance dungeon was a figment of the system's imagination, but for all the terror, anxiety, shock, and wistfulness Esil showed, it made it easier to believe she truly was a resident from another world. That being the case, Sung was starting to believe he was getting closer to the true identity of the system. It was once he would arrive at floor 100 that he would proceed to do a quick warm-up activating his muscles, then venture forward towards the boss. It was when he finally found him that it wasn't the boss that garnered his interest, but rather the wyvern he was flying. Since this wasn't a demon like all the others, it made Sung think he might be able to extract it.
Oh, come on! Don't tell me the anime is gonna leave this out! Don't you dare! Come on! Please! I really hope the anime doesn't leave this out! How cool would that be? That'd be so fucking cool! Oh god, I wanna see Jin Woo. Also, what level do you reckon that fucking wyvern is? Bro could have a wyvern in his army! Oh man, I so hope that happens!
So, now he was just as excited as he was back when he had the chance to extract Baraka.
I'm excited!
The fight then proceeded extremely faithful to the manhwa, minus a slight change where Tusk would be the one to bring the wyvern down. Baran's army would be estimated in the thousands, so Sung was essentially up against the equivalent of 1,000 A ranks.
And the thing is, he can't turn those soldiers into his own army. So in usual situations and having big fights like this, he'd be able to turn the army he's fighting into his own army. You know, he consumes them into his own force. But because he can't do that in the tower, it makes the fights even more difficult. Because let's say he's got like 200, 300 soldiers of his own, but he's fighting thousands. The fight would eventually, like, the figures would change and he'd have the bigger army against the smaller army. But in this fight, that's never the case.
The opening skewering was a move Sung had intentionally waited for, creating a scene straight out of Vlad's playbook.
So cool.
The novel presents the fight as something significantly easier for Sung since there wasn't much of the struggle we saw in the anime. His immunity to lightning meant he could run around without issues, then their initial clash here had actually been what knocked Baran out of the sky. The two would then immediately engage. Sung would have to abandon his robe because it caught on fire, then after that he would proceed with a Sid-like battle, dodging everything perfectly. It was necessary to do so considering any attack could prove to be fatal now. So, Sung would dodge with the smallest of margins, all while gaining ground in the process. It was once he was right in front of Baran that he would reminisce of the battles he had before, thanking them for providing the power to fight evenly against such an absurdly strong monster.
Yeah,
it was no exaggeration to say each floor molded and refined him for this exact moment. Sung would then land a critical hit on Baran's shoulder, leading to a fair spout of blade-to-blade combat. At first it seemed relatively even, up until Sung would use Ruler's Touch to stagger Baran. This would bring him to his knees, then create an opening allowing Sung to land the decisive punch. Sung would then follow it up with a weirdly placed punch straight into Baran's mouth, effectively preventing him from attacking with his magic. He would then treat his head like a glove, batter it around until it was gone, then thank Baran too for everything he was about to provide for him. So, while the fight was still fairly intense, in the novel it didn't seem like Sung ever had a chance of losing. It was nowhere near as close as the manhwa or anime. Now, if you're wondering how Ruler's Touch could even be used here, it's because that's one of Sung's skills that don't use mana. Just like how Shadow Preservation allows him to summon shadows without mana as well, Ruler's Touch can be used with 0 cost whatsoever. But yeah, that was the tower dungeon and Sung's fight against the Demon King. This was, however, only half the cut content, so if you want to see the crazy stuff regarding Jeju next, then be sure to subscribe since that video will be out soon. But anyway, thanks again so much for watching, and if you want to support the channel, then consider checking out the merch. Until next time, though.
There you go. AniNews has some merch. I don't know if it's a sponsor or if it's his own merch, but it's in the description of his video. So like he said there at the end, if you want to support the channel, go check out that merch in the description of his own video there. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description of this video like I always do. So make sure you go support AniNews, all right? Every video I ever react to on YouTube, you'll always be able to find the people I'm reacting to in the description. There are too many fucking reaction channels these days that don't link the videos they're reacting to. I don't know why. I really don't know why. There was actually a reaction channel today because I was trying to find the music video for it's just a little look behind the curtain. I was trying to find the music video for Orb's opening because loads of people asked me to react to it, and I found a reaction channel that reacted to it. So I was like, oh, they've probably got a link in their video. So I clicked on their video, no fucking link. They reacted to it, but no link. Right. This is a message to every reaction channel out there. If you're reacting to other people's content, the least you can do is leave a fucking link to that content. Dickheads, man. Like, Jesus. Anyway, rant over. Go support AniNews, alright? Absolute legend. Very, very, very interesting. Oh, I love solo leveling so much, man. I really do. I really do. I love this anime. It's so good. It's so much fun. I have the best time watching it every week. I'm going to be sad when it's over. So, the main question, there's 2 questions on all of our minds, I'm sure. Question number 1, Esil. Is she going to stick around? Is she going to hang out in this tower now on level 80 as like queen of the fucking tower underworld? Or is she coming out with Jin Woo? She's part of his party now. I don't think that means she can be put in a shadow though, so I'm guessing for her to come out would be, nah, she can't. Because she's not a shadow. Kind of freaky when you think about that the easiest thing for him to do would actually be to kill her and consume her, which he can't actually do in the tower anyway. But if he got her to leave the tower with him, could he do it? And could she even leave the tower? And if she did, she doesn't have like a message to go around killing people. So that would be the first monster that doesn't want to kill people, which kind of ties back to what we saw with Jin Woo's dad. You know, like them talking about his aura and him being a monster, and he doesn't have that either. So, is it possible that Jin Woo's dad is something similar? Because that kind of ties in with that as well. You know, the aura and the attitude and that sort of thing. They said it felt like he was a monster. And that didn't make any sense, but it kind of makes sense now. Huh. There's so much more to solo leveling than I thought. The anime at its start just feels like this anime about a guy becoming the strongest fucking being, killing all the demons on Earth, right? But now, there is a complicated system in place. There's demons with sentience. There's them being taken. There is the crazy new world of strength of these monsters. I mean, Jeju Island on its own is terrifying. You know, like we've met one of those ants. We saw it tear through a damn town. It was monstrous, and there's a lot of them, I'm guessing. If that was one of the weaker ones, then Jesus, what are the stronger ones going to be like? And they got to meet a queen. What's she going to be like? The cool thing is that they all know Jin Woo's abilities now. So if Jin Woo does go on Jeju Island, he doesn't have to hide. He can just use everything out in the open. I do hope we get to see more of Esil, though. She's a very cool character. The other question, which I think you all know what I'm about to say, is did he get the wyvern? Did he get the wyvern? Oh, this idea of Jin Woo flying around on the back of a wyvern into battle. Ah, it sounds really cool. I really want to see that. And the other thing is, that was a wyvern on level 100 of the tower. Also, I'm guessing he got the elixir, right? That was a wyvern. Oh, he has to craft the elixir, doesn't he? On level 100. So, theoretically speaking, that wyvern has the potential to be the strongest shadow in his army. It's kind of cool. Oh, man. Fingers crossed. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my reaction. Thank you so much for watching. Go check out my main reaction to the latest episode of Solo Leveling on G.O.T Games, the main channel. Go check it out. And do not forget, my little baby brother is going to be streaming his first time ever reaction to Solo Leveling tonight. And remember how awesome the first episodes of Season 1 are? You don't want to miss it. I'll leave a link to his channel as the pinned comment on this video and in the description too. So make sure you guys come along tonight. I might be there as well, so come along and support my brother's stream. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have yourselves an amazing day. And as always, my friends, you will see me in the next video.